In the coming stanzas, it talks about how Christabel enters the forest to pray for her betrothed fiance who is gone and prays for his protection. I am on line 23. The lovely lady, Christabel, whom her father loved so well, what makes her in the wood so late, a furlong from the castle gate? She had dreams all yesternight of her own betrothed knight, and she in the midnight wood will pray for the weal of her lover that's far away. She stole along, she nothing spoke, the sighs she heaved were soft and low, and naught was green upon the oak but moss and rarest mistletoe. She kneels beneath the huge oak tree, and in silence prayeth she. So, it talks about her entrance into the forest, the time of night, and it kind of questions why she would be going there. The forest is a dwelling place for fairies and enchanted mortals. It is sometimes a tabooed place. If mortals enter it, they are likely to summon an enchanted person or a supernatural spirit. So let's move down. Let's start on line 53 or 55. She folded her arms beneath her cloak, and she stole to the other side of the oak. What sees she there? There she sees a damsel bright, dressed in a silken robe of white, that shadowy in the moonlight shone, the neck that made that white robe wane. Her stately neck and arms were bare, her blue-veined feet unsandaled were, and wildly glittered here and there. The gems entangled in her hair, I guess 'twas frightful there to see a lady so richly clad as she, beautiful exceedingly. So we've talked about before in this class about how white is indicative of something supernatural from another world. So in this stanza alone, it is mentioned twice. And if you'll go down to line 83, it says, they choked my cries with force and fright, and tied me on a palfrey white. The palfrey was as fleet as wind, and they rode furiously behind. They spurred amain, their steeds were white. So it again mentions the color white twice. Later in the poem, though I still believe it's still in part one, it also mentions white ashes. If you'll look at line 157, it says, the brands were flat, the brands were dying, amid their own white ashes lying. So the color white appears throughout part one of the poem. So 4 things mentioned in the stanzas describing the approach to the castle are often associated with ideas of enchantment or of protection against supernatural beings. That would be the moat, the key, the iron of the gate, and the threshold of the castle. So let's see, let's turn. Let's start. (123). They crossed the moat, and Christabel took the key that fitted well. A little door she opened straight, all in the middle of the gate. The gate that was ironed within and without, where an army in battle array had marched out. The lady sank, belike through pain, and Christabel with might and main lifted her up a weary weight over the threshold of the gate. Then the lady rose again and moved as she were not in pain. So the effectiveness of iron as a protection against witches, fairies, and spirits is well known in folklore from ancient Greece and Rome to the present day. And not even Christabel's presence can overcome the effect that the iron has on Geraldine, because she almost faints for a second time. Her weakness, however, makes it seem only natural that Christabel should help her cross the threshold, the sacred part of the house guarded by a holy spell. So she aids Geraldine over that threshold. Geraldine stumbling there acknowledges the protective power of the threshold against spirits. It's also in itself an auspicious sign. And then we move on to when they're moving through the castle. She's been affected by the protective power of natural objects. But her next two attacks of weakness come from naming the Virgin as well as the statue of the angel. Let's see. They name the Virgin in lines 139. And then it talks about the lamp that's fastened to an angel's foot on 183. So these are just little, I guess, signs that Geraldine is not human, and kind of gives the reader a hint that something else is going on.